Okay, welcome to code.org, Computer Science Principles, Unit 7, Lesson 7, the Libraries Practice. Okay, I need to refresh my version history, so I'm starting fresh with you. Alrighty, this program uses states library from the previous lesson. You'll need to finish that out by writing code inside the new state function by using the functions in the state library. So basically, we're gonna just kind of use an existing function as in part of a new function. So what we need to do, we need to pick a random state, set the value of current state to that state name, and update the flag on screen to be that state. Okay, seems simple enough. All right, so I think I changed my version history, but better safe than sorry. Okay, so we have a global variable current state. All right, so the function we're making in the unit about libraries is not set to be a library function because we're using a global variable. But all right, new state. So first thing we want to do is pick a random state. How do we do that? Okay, there's a lot of different ways I could do that. I'm going to create a variable, and I'm just going to call it index, and index is going to get a random number between 0 and 49. All right, I'm doing that because there are 50 states. All right, I could also do it between 0 and my states list.length, but to me this is easier. Okay, so that gives me a random number. Okay, now to get a state, all right, what I have to do is under my functions, let me go look and see exactly what this random state function does, because I get the feeling I'm probably going to want to use that. Okay, and random state actually does not have, so maybe I jumped the gun. Okay, yeah, so it says random state. We're going to, okay, actually I didn't even have to do anything, so I'd probably, I do need to modify that. So random state, it just gets all the state names, and then it just returns a random state name. So let's do this instead. That is what you get for not reading it first. So there's current state. I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to name it random. Oops, did not want to do that. Sorry about that. I'm going to call it random state. However, that is the name of a function, so I have to be careful. So I'm just going to do random st, all right, for random state. Okay, and then I'm going to call from the states library random state, so it will then be assigned a random state. All right, set the value of current state to that state name. So then I will update current state, and as I do this, I'm wondering if I can't just do that because it's going to call that function. I probably could, so I've wasted your time. I apologize. All right, to that state name, let's see if this works, and then update the flag on screen to be that state. So now we can just call the state flag function, and the state name is going to be current state. Okay, and that might be it. So we really just use that function to create a random state, assign it to current state. Let's see what happens. Let's run. All right, and let's click new state. And do I need to set some properties? Perhaps I do. Or is this one that I need to update as I go? Let's find out. Now let's go to the next level. Okay, so clearly I did not do something I probably need to set some properties. If the new state button is clicked, we're going to run new state. So yeah, I didn't do anything to set properties, so let me do that. So I need to set the property of, this is the flag image, and that's going to be an image, and it is going to, let me see if I can't just do that. Okay. Let's run. Okay, there we go. Guess the state. All right, and I don't know that one. New state. All right, I'm pretty sure that's Kansas. So let me guess. All right, that's correct. New state. No, that's not Georgia, so I'm going to guess Georgia. Nope, that's not it. So that's it. So all of this, pardon my fumbling, simplified as I went, but 2 lines of code. Okay, and we have it working. Okay, level 2. All right, this simple program should show a random cat and the name of the breed every time the user clicks the button. A library called cats has been added to the program. All right, read the documentation. Use the provided functions to finish building the app. The user should see a new random cat and the name of the breed every time they click the button. Okay, so let's go look and see what we have. All right, we've got a function called random breed. We've got one called breed image. We've got one called all breeds, and one that's just random image. Okay, so I do need to see the relationship between these. So random image. All right, so random breed, so kind of it takes all the breeds and it's getting that. Okay, so let's see what we have here. I may have to go back and look at that. So from here, we have, write your code here. So clearly we need to do something right there. Let me see, run. I wonder if I was already finished. Let me start over. Okay, well, for time's sake, I do apologize. Let me restore that. That's our function, so sorry about that. I forgot to refresh, but we can pretty much just have a function called update screen so that when this runs the first time, I probably took something out. Maybe I have to click show me another, or maybe I broke something. Let's see. Yeah, so let me go to my version history. Let me restore that one. Okay, so had it working, and then I probably deleted something. So it says write your code here. When the next button is clicked, we update screen. Update screen takes, it gets a random cat name from cat's random breed. We set the property of the breed name to be that, and then we do the image. So I'm not exactly sure why it's no longer working or loading. It just did a second ago. So perhaps I'll come back to that one later. If I go back to, let me go back to, there we go. Let's restore my last one where I probably did that the last time. Okay, so clearly you saw it work a second ago. Who knows? Alrighty, this one also, just kind of to run through, we have some console logs. So we're basically, before exporting a library, it's a good idea to test the functions with different input values to make sure they export correctly. Debug the issues with these programs using the test written for each to check what's wrong with the item. Okay, so this is, for time's sake, this is getting long. There are bells all in my video. I do apologize. I'm trying to do this during my planning period, and it is lunchtime, so there's a bell every 15 minutes, it feels like. All right, so we're just going to try some different tests. So what we're doing here, there's a function called isEven. Our parameter is a number, and then we're going to return whatever the number is, mod 2. And if it's 0, if that returns true, that means that it is even. If it returns false, it means it is not. So we're going to test, is 10 an even number, is 5 an even number, is -2 an even number. We're going to come down here then, there's an is odd. Same concept, but what we have to do differently, it could be a -1 or a +1. So we do number mod 2. If it's 1 or -1, that means it's odd. Okay. Then we test some of those cases with function calls. In 10 odd, that should be false, false, or actually false, true, true. All right, then we have another one that is called is between. We have a number, we have a low, and we have a high. All right, and we return true if the number is greater than the low number and the number is less than the high number. That means it is in between. So this will return true. So we're trying different test cases where the given number is 10 in each case. And we're going to say, okay, is 10 between 0 and 5? That should be false. Is 10 between 5 and 10? That should be false because 10 is not less than 10. 10 is between 15 and 20. That should be false. 10 is between 5 and 20. That should be true. So, all right, yeah, false, 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 true. Alrighty, so those are kind of already there for you. Pretty straightforward, just making the function calls using proper arguments, all right, to pass through the parameters. Alrighty, let's jump into level 4, testing a library. Same thing, really, we want to get ready to export it, so we're going to test it out. So this is kind of already got, so we've got a function called all lower. All right, it returns a list of all lowercase letters. All right, so this return is the alphabet in lowercase, all upper. You can see what happens. Vowels lower, A, E, I, O, U lower, vowels upper. There we go. All right, consonants lower, consonants upper. All right, we see what we're doing here, okay? Then we have a list called get letters. It's taking a letter type, and then a parameter called upper. So this returns a list of letters, all right? And it tells us whether the letters should be uppercase. If false, it returns lowercase. So when we call this function, all right, we're calling get letters, and then we indicate, okay, are we looking for all of our letters? Are we looking for just constants? Are we looking for just vowels? And then we say, okay, should it be upper? Should it be lower? And then it's going to return, okay? So this should be the correct version, I believe. So we say get letters. All right, so if letter type is all, if it's upper, we're going to return all upper, else return all lower because it is all letters. Else, if the letter type is consonant, and if it's upper, we're going to return consonants. Okay, this might be where we have an issue. Do I need to change that? And if it's upper, yeah, I think I might need to swap those. Let me double check the if upper, return all upper, if upper, return upper, if upper, return upper. Yeah, that would make sense, I believe. And then console all uppercase, get letters all true. So we should see all the letters uppercase, okay? All lowercase, get letters all right, false. Consonants upper, get letters. Consonants true, false, vowel. So what we should be able to do now is run, and we should, in our console log, have appropriate course. So all uppercase, all right, that's our whole alphabet. All lowercase, that's our whole alphabet. Consonants upper, all right, that's right. Consonants lower. Vowels upper, vowels lower. So that is the solution set there. Sorry for not going into detail, but this point is pretty basic stuff we're looking at, so hopefully you're just checking your answers here. Alrighty, level 5. All right, this program is being designed as a simple list library. Write test to make sure the first function works. Then write the second 2 functions so they pass the tests written. Alrighty, this one I believe I already had done as well, so let's just kind of run through it. So this function creates a new list of the length given with the same value repeated. So length is a number, value, that is the value to appear in every item of the list. All right, so 3 different tests. So what we're doing is trying just a singular item to see if it'll put one item, trying multiple, and then this one I'm seeing, okay, will it store strings and numbers, okay? And then this one, and we'll test them all in a moment. This one returns a copy of the list given with each value multiplied by a given number. All right, so list would be the list of numbers. This multiplies it. And then it's going to return, all right, return list, okay? Your return list is appended. Whatever number is at I is multiplied by the given number. Pretty straightforward. So here's my test case. So it says multiply 1, 2, 3 by 2. So our arguments for the list parameter, we have 1, 2, 3. And for the number parameter, we have the argument of 2. And you can see how we're doing that for each one, corresponding, multiply by. All right, our argument is the list 10, 20, 30. Our argument for the number is 5. Multiply, okay, we're trying those out. All right, this one returns a copy of the list given, but in reverse order. All right, so the way that one is going to work, we have a return list. Again, we just set it blank. We say, okay, for each item in the list, all right, insert, return is, so basically what this is doing, I haven't used this a lot in my videos at this point, but if we traverse the list and each item is inserted at index 0, what it does is it pushes the first item back. So this is actually a way to, by traversing the list and storing each index at, or each element in the list, each element in the list at index 0. By the time you get to the last element in the original list, it is going to be at index 0 in the new list, and it will correspond to a reverse order. That is what's going on there. And then we have a couple of tests. So let's run it and just kind of see our results. So the first one, we get A, and then we get this certain number of A's we plugged in. Same thing with the 3's. We're multiplying 1, 2, and 3 by 2, so we should get 2, 4, 6. Multiply 10, 20, 30 by 5, we get 50, 100, 150. Multiply -1, -2, -3 by 3, we get -3, -6, -9. We reverse 1, 2, 3, we get 3, 2, 1. We reverse yes, no, maybe. So we reverse numbers, that worked. Yes, no, maybe. We should have maybe, no, yes. So it works for strings and numbers. All right, we had all those test cases, okay? Probably if we had more time, one other thing I may want to test with this multiply is probably multiplying by a negative number to make sure that works. But overall, we are done there. We just have our check for understanding. All right, and I apologize, the answer shows up right there, but we got AP reference sheet. We have a procedure. It says the following procedure was developed to determine if a list contains a negative number. If the list contains a negative number, it should return true, otherwise it should return false. An error was made in writing this function so that it does not work as intended. Which line of code would need to be fixed? So we have a procedure called check negative, and then we use a list. And then we have has negative, all right, is a variable. All right, it gets true, but then it says for each number in list, we traverse it, and if the number is less than 0, and then it returns have negative, okay? So the issue here is line 3. So it's actually starting at true. It's technically never going to be able to return false. So we do this before, so we really don't need that line of code there. We need to do this first. So lots of bells. Has negative is true. Then it says for each item in list, if the number is less than 0, we could it returns to true, but there's nothing to set it to false. So probably what we would need to do is set this initial value to false, and then it would only return true here if this was the case. Otherwise, it would return false. So that's kind of the issue with that one. All right, so line 3 is the issue. All right, and that concludes lesson 7.